Yeah. Well, I was m- I call it moderately abused by a doctor when I was about 10 because I had what did I have? I had constipation,
Mm-hmm.
and the doctor was he was part of a religious cult in our village where I grew up, and that religious cult was founded by a guy called Noel Stanton.
Mm-hmm.
Noel Stanton was a horrific paedophile who raped my dad when he was 10 years old. And he was a lay preacher at the church in the village where I grew up. And um, my dad's version of events, the version of events that I grew up with my dad was very different to what I found out later actually happened. And that was that my dad's version of events was that this lay preacher at the vicarage after a Sunday service had tried it on with him, and he tried it on with all the boys. That's what my dad told me when I was a kid. And my dad punched him in the bollocks and ran away. But I found out later that's not what happened. And I think this led to my dad's lack of faith. And a week before he died, when he was 37 of a brain hemorrhage, and the week before he died, he stood at the top of the stairs and he said, I don't think there's a God. I think we just come here and then we go, and that's it."
Wow.
And that was really. And then he died, and I switched off his life support machine when I was 17, which was led me to become an atheist for about 20 years, to be honest, because I just couldn't believe how hard life was, and
Yeah.
why that would happen. And yeah, so this doctor was part. Sorry, I've got some beeping things. That doctor was part of this religious cult, which was known as the Jesus Fellowship. And it's funny how this all interweaves with all sorts of things that also led to the suicide of my first love at the age of 28, because she was the daughter of a woman that had joined this cult in the 60s, and that her being involved with this cult basically led to her suicide.
Wow.
And I don't know whether there was abuse with her or not, but looking back on it, I think there probably was. And that cult itself got closed down about only about 5 years ago because of the sheer volume of abuse cases against it, and the whole cult closed. I mean, this went from nothing in the mid 60s. By the time I was born in '69, and I was growing up in the '70s, it just spread. It took over the village. They bought farmland, they bought big houses, they had so much money. They had a clothing store chain. They had a Whole Foods store chain. They were just making money hand over
Wow.
fist, because it was like a communistic place where people would come and join the cult, and they'd have to hand over all their income to it. And then the kids in the school that I was at, we used to take the piss out of them as kids, because they all wore these shit clothes, because they'd go down on a Sunday and there'd be a pile of trousers and a pile of jumpers and a pile of shirts, and they had to pick from these piles of
Yeah.
secondhand clothes. I mean, it was a crazy, crazy place. So I was born in the middle of a paedophile cult, basically. And later on in life, when you have adult conversations with your mum and your grandparents and stuff like that. I mean, I remember saying to my nan when she was about 80 something, and I said, "Nan, what you knew what happened to your son, as in my dad?" And she went, "Yes, I did." And I said, "Well, why didn't you do anything about it?" Because I was indignant with rage, and I still am, and that's why I do what. That's the only reason. The only reason I'm online is because of this,
Um,
because of the children. I
yeah.
do not want not one more child should ever suffer at the hands of an adult doing this to them.
No.
So I said to my nan, why didn't you do anything? Because I couldn't understand it. Because if anybody touched my kids, I'd fucking kill them. It's the only thing I would kill anybody for.
Yes.
And she just looked at me and she said, because we were scared. And then I realized how this system works. You know, when you look at Jimmy Savile, high profile monster,
Yes. Yeah.
right? People were terrified. People are terrified. And
Mm.
people just won't face up to this
Mm.
because they can't believe. And they're either victims who can't face the shame, or they are pedophiles themselves, or they just cannot compute the fact that another human being would do this to a child. But it's the one thing we have to face up to. It's the most important thing. It is
Oh,
the most important thing. This
yeah.
whole fucking planet is run by satanic pedophiles that are probably not even human.
Well,
Right.
the problem is that because people, good people, most good people, don't want to believe this sort of thing goes on, Mark. There's almost I call it the silent endemic. There's a kind of silence around it, because if it's not discussed, then it can't be happening. But
That's interesting you say that, Gloria. Sorry to interrupt you, but
yeah,
I've had this argument for years.
mm,
Right? I've had people say to me, "Why are you talking about this stuff? You know, this is an inside job. It's all spiritual, right? Which it is, but unless we face this, because that's the world we're living in Satan's world,
mm.
or we have been. And if we don't face this, if we don't discuss it, how the hell are we supposed to how the hell are we supposed to stop it happening again in the future?
Well,
Hopefully.
exactly, and I think, you know, normalizing conversations around this. I should send you this clip I've got, but basically, it's a little graphic I've developed, and it is. I know you hate me talking about this, but what if it was your child or grandchild I saved? And then suddenly it changes. So I think we have to normalize these conversations, and they have to become more overt. And Mark, part of the reason I'm so thrilled you're here tonight is because we've got some beautiful male survivors out there, and we know in New Zealand and potentially across the world, one of the statistics I often quote is up to 1 in 3 adults, including males, men, have experienced some form of child sexual abuse. That's untenable. That cannot continue. And I think for men, I'm hazarding a guess here, the shame is so great, and the words are just almost impossible to express. And I guess I just love your kind of input on that. How can we help our men out there to find the words to even share with a trusted mate or a partner?
Well, I want to share a story with you. Many things have happened to me over the last 53 years, but because of my internet marketing background, I got involved with a 200 million pound lawsuit against a element of the Catholic Church in England because there was I met a group of survivors who were in their 60s and 70s who'd never told a soul since they were 5, 4, 7 years old. And I listened to their testimonies, and I never cried so much in my entire life.
Mm.
When you hear what these people have been through, these guys went through. I mean, this is why I interview people like you, because it's so important to get this out. But when you sit and listen to a 72-year-old man, and he's there, he's still there, and this priest was buggering him, and he went and told his parents, and the parents beat him for telling them because they believed they couldn't. It's just where does that child go? The priest that everybody says is like this important person who's head of the school is buggering him in his study, and the parents, who the most trusted people in his life, beat him up.
Yeah.
And I heard that multiple times, and these guys, it was horrific. And this is what this is what drives me to do what I do, because that cannot happen again. This planet is horrific. It's horrific, and men. I'm a man, so when I found out about my dad, I couldn't believe it. Um, and it makes sense why he told me the version that he told me, but he couldn't tell anybody either. And his parents, they didn't beat him, but they didn't do anything because they were so scared.
Yeah.
And this has to stop.
So, you know, thanks for sharing that, Mark. But I can see how that would have been a pivotal point in your life, and has led to kind of the passion and the kind of endurance to keep working with this.
But you know what? Do you know what else? Is that when I spoke to my nan about this, she then told me about being raped in the hospital. She was raped. And then I realized most of my family had suffered some form of sexual abuse. And it dawned on me, pretty much everybody in the world. You say it's 1 in 3. You just said it was 1 in 3. I think it's more. Some kind of sexual abuse.
Well, and it's got to stop, but there's a huge wall of silence out there, and I see it as coming from two distinct places. One is obviously the perpetrators and the pedophiles and their gatekeepers, but the other is the survivors, because when the survivors finally find the courage to speak, look what happens to them. They're either re-abused or re-traumatized because they dared to speak out, or they cannot speak because the shame is so powerful. And shame is such an insidious little beast that it has a way of creeping in and even shutting down the most strident of us at times. So this is a massive, massive issue. And yeah, I think until the day I die, I'm going to be advocating and doing this work.
Or they go on to abuse themselves because of what happened to them. And then they're locked. And that's what happens, I think. I think people get locked in. And that's what it's all about. The ruling classes of this world do this deliberately and encourage it. They don't. I had I've known lots of people over the years, and I remember listening to a guy. I found this. I'm not going to say who he was, but it was a person that was involved in my life who was shunned by his family because he was drinking, he was aggressive, so he got shunned. He got cut out of his family, and then I started digging into his life a little bit, and it turns out that he went to the seminary when he was like 9 years old.
Oh,
And then I was like, well, I said to his brother, I said, well, obviously he was abused at the seminary. That's why he's the way he is. And they were like, no, of course not. And I was like, no, seriously, think about it. The seminary, for people that don't know, is where parents send their children to become priests in the Catholic Church. And it dawned on me that paedophilia within the Catholic Church is not just a thing, it's actually part of their system. It's part of the Catholic Church. Now, I wasn't brought up a Catholic, but I remember going on a train to Lourdes, the place in the south of France,
yeah, yeah.
which is
The
a big
holy Mecca.
it's a big pilgrimage,
Yeah.
and I was on this train from Liverpool to Lourdes in a carriage full of priests when I was 21. And I was a brancardier, which means that I was there to help push wheelchairs around for people that wanted to be healed. And I was there for a week. And those fucking priests that I was sat with were so fucking weird. right? I couldn't. Even as a kid, I got married in a Catholic church to a Catholic, and I remember walking in like I felt ill as I walked in, and I went to church with my family, my wife's family a few times, and I was looking. I remember looking at the priest going, "This guy's so fucking wrong. Everything about him was wrong," and everybody, hundreds of people, like clapping and shaking hands, and I was like, "What the fuck is going on?" Because, and what I've since learned is, you know what I
Sorry.
mean? No,
You know,
I was like Damien in the film Omen, like he didn't want to go in the church. And now I understand. As a kid, I thought it was because I was bad. It wasn't. It was because I was good, and I didn't want to go near these fucking wankers, right? And I used to have I had massive arguments with them about. I was like, I'm never going there again. Please don't make me go there again. Please. You know, I'm 33 years old. I'm saying, please don't make me go there. I'm not doing it again. You're all fucking weird. And when you realize the Catholic Church is a satanic church.
I was born
mean
and bred as a Catholic, and
I don't mean
yes,
Catholics are satanic
no,
necessarily. I'm not
no,
saying people go to
mm,
church, but the church itself is evil beyond belief. All of them are. You know, in Islam, when they pray to, I lived in Morocco for years. They all get down at 3 in the afternoon, whatever, and they all point towards Mecca, right? And they all give prayers and they all give their energy to Mecca. What's in Mecca? It's a black cube, and they all walk around it like this. What is that black cube? That black cube represents the hexagonal storm on Saturn, right? The black cube, you will find it outside every financial institution around the world. What is it? It's Saturn, which is Satan, right? And they're giving their energy. The whole planet is giving its energy to
mm.
Satan all the fucking time, and pedophilia is the glue that holds everything together. Can you let me share screen, please, Gloria? Because I want to share a poem, if I can.
Yeah.
That's why God gave me this poem. And this poem has been read out at SRA rallies around the world. It's been viewed over 1 million times, at least, online on different channels. And I'd really like to...
Is this that lovely poem you wrote?
Yeah, I wrote it.
I've seen this one.
We see you. The scales have fallen from our eyes. The veil has drifted down from the sky, meandering firmly, finally.
No sound, Mark. You're on mute.
Sorry,
The statue finally
Sorry, I muted it because I thought that would make the sound better. So I'll just go back a little bit. Sorry.
Okay.
meandering firmly, finally revealing your depth of depravity. That's fear you're now feeling. We see you. Your demonic bloodlust laid bare to see. The statue of filth on the BBC. The prince and the madam. The crisper spy. The islands of horrors in the ocean lie. We see you. 1 billion souls stolen over the years. You hid them deep down to drown their tears. Perfect and innocent, God's own creations, mutilated by your sick machinations. We see you. Vlad the Impaler and his vile descendants, fleeing the palace from the 5D ascendants. The virus distracted, but gave us the time to peel back the layers of your heinous crimes. We see you. Run, run as fast as you can. Back for more orders from the Phoenician clan. Out of White Rabbit, the looking glass cracked. Tipping point reached, odds against you now stacked. We see you. Pizza and hot dogs, pasta and sauce. Your sickness decoded your lack of remorse. Our slumber is over, our eyes not wide shut. For the children of Haiti, a knife to your gut. We see you. Ascension is powered by the light of the flare. Scramble like rats to the ruins of your lairs. It's over, it's over. Save our children, we cry. Revealed, reviled. It's your soul's time to die. We see you.
Wow.
Sorry, I've lost my usual composure.
No, that's all right. Hey,
Have you never seen that?
yes, yeah, I've seen it a few times.
If you were
Yeah.
alone in the wild,
Sorry.
would you wear this
Fucking
or
hell, no.
this?
Shut up.
All right.
We got
So
Gremlins.
I'm just going
I'm
to bring.
not all together on this chat, I'm afraid.
Are you okay? Have I triggered you?
No, you haven't triggered me. The whole thing triggers me.
It's me, yeah.
That poem, though. If I died tomorrow, that poem is my legacy because it was a statement to these fuckers.
Yeah.
And if I did nothing else, that poem is, yeah.
So, Mark, you just you breathe, you do what you need to. Love to you, my friend.
Look, you can even see the washing in the background. Look, I don't care.
There you go. I don't really care. I could show you mine, but hey, we're not comparing. I think for it,
Stop.
yeah.
Stop.
So even voices like ours, you know, we're changing things one little conversation at a time, and it's conversations that weren't being had even as recently as 5 years ago, you know. So there is a bit of a groundswell. I guess just to bring it back a little bit, when you're thinking about, you know, yourself, you're age 10 at the doctor's, you went for some blockage issues, my attempt at humour, blockage issues, and obviously he decided.
I thought you said a block of tissues.
It's my Kiwi accent.
Yeah, I know it is.
And yeah, I guess I'm just wondering for our men out there, they're looking at you, Mark, and thinking, okay, so they're
thinking, who's this blubbering idiot?
Yeah, no, but you see, you give permission to other people by being real.
I know. That's why I'm doing this. That's why I interviewed you. That's why I interview everybody that I can find that has the guts, because you amaze me with your courage. And you know, I'm looking on my desk here. Your book's here somewhere. Here it is. I'll just show you that this did arrive from New Zealand.
Oh, please.
I haven't had the courage to read it yet.
Please do.
I will. It takes me time. Have you not noticed every time we try to talk?
I know.
I've got a reason for not speaking to you. I'm like this. Sorry, I can't do this. I mean, there's always a reason. It's not me deliberately doing it, but
no, I know, and I think, Mark, we've got to do this. So there's a reason. But
today I was late.
Yeah, that's okay. At least you're here, buddy. Hey, but look, I'm gonna bring you back to our men, because our men need to hear brave soldiers like you. So let's just bring it back to you.com. Obviously, what happened with your dad, and then of course, possibly you were a similar age when things started happening to you. But I guess as we're looking at that, and we know the numbers, Mark, and we know it's bigger than people want to believe. I guess what I'd love for you to be able to share is, we're not comparing. We're not allowed to do that. Each survivor story is different, and the impact is what it is. But what would you say if you were giving advice to our beautiful men out there who are trying to come to terms with this and perhaps even talk to anyone about it? What would you say has helped, or what could help?
Well, that's a good question, and loads of things are going through my mind as you were asking it. When I think about these men that gave their testimony that I heard,
Yeah.
they were hoodwinked. They were hoodwinked into thinking they were going to get justice because they trusted somebody, and that person trusted somebody else, and the person that they trusted that trusted somebody else, that person was Illuminati. And what I observed was the controlled demolition of this legal case where nobody got any justice, and this is what triggered me. I mean, it really opened my. I mean, I think God puts us on these paths in order for us to observe and see and experience things.
Yeah.
So that when we're called, we have enough experience of the way that this world works in order to do the job that we've got to do in order to get rid of this. And that's what I think. That's where I think we're at right now. So, you know, part of my personal journey has been to go online and talk about these issues amongst many other issues. But this is the fundamental issue for me. You know, this is really what all of this is about. This whole last 2 years is really all of this coming out and coming to a head, because it's the final battle that we're in against these. So I'm trying to answer your questions.
Okay.
Right? So
yeah.
So one of the things that I've been teaching people is the time for being an observer is over. It's now the time to speak out. And, one of the things that I teach people is let's use their weapons against them. Now, YouTube is a weapon. Google is a weapon. They weaponize things against us. So let's use it's like Aikido and Judo. I did Judo when I was a kid. You always use the enemy's power to, you reversed it. You used it against them. And that's what I believe we should be doing. And I believe that everybody that's suffered anything should just, if we flooded the internet with voices of people just saying, I don't care what my family thinks about me. I don't care what my colleagues think about me. I just don't care anymore because it doesn't matter, right? The past is gone. And right now I'm going to stand up and speak. So what I would implore everybody who's been a victim or a survivor of any of this is to speak out. Is to speak out and not give a shit what anybody thinks. I know some of my family members might watch this and they'd be like, oh my God, how can you say that? How dare you say that? How dare you drag our family's name through the mud? Fuck them, right?
Write a book.
Write a book on YouTube.
Yeah.
Go in the local paper, hold a meeting, do something. We have to expose this, and it only gets exposed when everybody starts speaking out, and people like.
Okay, but I'm gonna challenge you. I agree with you, but I have to, and as I know you do, have a deep, heartfelt compassion for our less resilient survivors who struggle to share this or speak of it because the shame has got them in its grip. What can they do, Mark? What's a first step? What helped you, I guess, what was a catalyst or some things that helped you to initially find the courage to speak? Because it is courage.
Yeah, I never saw it. I mean, I know that I'm a bit too bombastic for people.
No, you're just a bit odd, mate, odd.
I'm odd, yeah.
No, you're an odd light bearer.
Oh, that's true. That is true. Yeah, no. So somebody interviewed me for a spiritual channel a couple of months ago, and she said, "You're not like other spiritual people." I went, "No, I'm not.
Don't
I'm definitely not.
change. Don't change.
No, I am what I am, and I don't apologize for it. I don't know because my experience is really, I never got any support. I never got, even when I did talk about it, I got zero compassion from people that were close to me. Zero.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
Zero. Less than zero. In fact, it was
Wow.
like, get over it. And it was like, whew, and I was like, whoa. And I never went to see anybody. I mean, I've been an alcoholic in my time. I've been a drug user. I've turned to all sorts of things, and it ruined my marriage. It ruined all sorts of things. This stuff will destroy you. And my personal answer was to just speak out about it and write poems and interview people and just learn more about it. And I know that's not for everybody, but I honestly think that it's just time to get over all of that and speak out, because we can, if it is 1 in 3, right? That's at least 2 billion people. If 2 billion people got on YouTube and started going, no more, no fucking more, then the world would have to listen. That's my answer, but I know that that's not for everybody.
I
But
know. I
I
think.
haven't really got an answer for people that can't speak out, because that's not my. I will always speak out,
Yeah.
and so I can't. I'm not the best person to ask that question to.
No. Okay. I
But
get
maybe
it.
I am. Maybe I'm right.
Maybe you
Maybe
are. Maybe you are.
maybe I'm right.
I guess I'm just looking at the power of that and loving that possibility. I guess what I'm trying to do is get behind our beautiful survivors out there, the 2 billion or however many there are, and just say, hey, we're standing with you, we stand beside you, we support you. And maybe a first step maybe is just to write it out, and you don't even have to show anyone, but just get it out of your head, because this stuff, as Mark, you just alluded to, this stuff has a way of crippling,
Oh,
running your whole
yeah.
life, damaging everything, killing any self-esteem or any dreams you may have had, because what was done to you was to take away the very spirit of you, and to actually reclaim that the soul of you was kind of pulled out, and to actually reclaim that is pretty friggin' hard. And then when you speak, and as in my case, for those that don't know, when I spoke, well, that was it. I was then chopped out completely. But the point being, it takes a lot of courage and a lot of confidence, but it also does a bit more than that, because it then stops, if you can find your voice, it then stops perhaps that next perpetrator or that next pedophile.
No, I know I'm not being very
hard.
practical. I should be
No,
more
I'm just
practical.
trying to have, because I can see you've got the empathy and the humility and the love for the Mark, and
Absolutely.
I just,
And I will fight for every one of them.
I know you will, but they
Every one
don't
of them.
have your
And I
confidence. Yeah, that's all. I'm just trying to give people
listen.
some
I met 3 weeks ago. I did a talk in Birmingham.
Yeah.
Two people came to see me, just to see me, and they didn't come to the show. They came at the end, and they came up to me and said, "We need to talk to you." And I was like, "What? What about?" And anyway, the next day I met them, and they were both SRA survivors. And one of them told me how she was punished by her parents because because she was in love with this boy that was also being abused, and they decapitated him in front of her when she was about 10, 11, right?
Right.
This is what drives me. I will stand up and fight for all of you.
Yeah.
But I really think we have to speak out. If you can find the courage, yes, write it down. go and do a past life regression, go do a soul retrieval, because this is what it's all about. It's all about our souls. This is what it's all about. It isn't about sex. It's about our souls, right? And they've had dominion over our souls as a collective for way too long, and that time is done. It's over, right? And now is the time for us to reclaim our power. And if that, if you just, as you said, writing it down is the beginning. But then, I've been very fortunate actually to have hundreds of healers come across my path over the years. I mean, I was suicidal 4 years ago, and healers just came out of the blue, right, and really helped me to get the strength to do what I've been doing. And I think but you've got to open the door, and then allow God to heal you and show you the way, because God will do that. God has got your back. Call in Archangel Michael. If you don't, I said I was an atheist for 20 years. I called in Archangel Michael before this chat today. I was in the kitchen calling him in. I felt it. I've got an amazing relationship with him now, and he's real, or the energy is real, and it will help you. It will give you strength. Find, go to those places that you go to, those dark rooms with the doors locked, and open the doors and face your demons. This is what I've had to do, is face my demons and keep facing my demons. And I'm not a normal I know I'm a weirdo, because I just jump in front of the bus. I literally jump in front of the bus, and I'm like, come on then, run me over, you fucker. And then, somehow I'm still here.
Bring it on, bus. Bring it on.
Yeah. I fell out of an aeroplane when I was 19. I'm an idiot.
No, but we need idiots.
Yeah, we do.
Can you see them behind me?
Yeah.
Beautiful. We need that power. So the spiritual power. So you're doing it, mate. We've got, if we can bring in some spiritual power, releasing it on the paper, maybe a trusted friend. I think sometimes when people share it with loved ones or people they trust, they can get re-traumatized. So that's always a bit of a fear, isn't it? And is there something, Mark, because I'm not a man, I know that will shock you, an audience. So I don't get this, but I have heard several times that sometimes for men, it's the gay thing is then thrown at them, or why did you let it happen?
That's a really good point, actually, because that's triggered a memory for me. I don't know if I don't know if I'm the best person to give advice to men, because I'm a fighter, right? So my view is, I want to come out. I'm going down fighting. And my other view is that this is the end times that we're in right now, and there's no time for messing about anymore. There just isn't. There isn't. This is the war to end all wars that we're in right now, and we just have to face. We just have, that's not maybe the most empathic answer I can. I'm not the most. I just want to gather I just want to gather everybody together and storm the parliaments and I use words like storm. You see, I'm Mark. I'm from Mars. I'm an Aries. I'm aggressive. This is my answer. But I know it's not necessarily the right answer.
No. I think we need all sorts. I just see a lot of dear broken little souls all over the place, and I just want to help them. And
no, you do, and that's brilliant.
I think if we can help, having these conversations of just trying to get that shame handed back, because if we remove the shame, we've got the person. Unfortunately, the shame is so powerful that it occludes who that beautiful soul is in there. And I just want to offer to our audience out there, guys, you're not alone, and there's so many of us out there, and we see you. I'm not trying to steal Mark's line here, but